Welcome, teachers. This training is designed to provide you with foundational information for teaching World Study 7. I'm going to share my screen in just a moment to share and go through some slides with you about what it means and what it's like to teach Global Humanities 7. And if you're new to World Study 7, we're also opening up this module course for you so you can just gain a general overview of the information. The first thing that I want to talk about, regardless if you're new to teaching Global Humanities or you're just new to teaching in general, is kind of the goals of the Global Humanities 7 course, which coincide with the goals of Global Humanities 6, with American Studies 8. The courses for the Global Humanities and the courses for the World Studies all kind of center around kind of three main components or focus. The first being the skills infusion. Skills, first and foremost, are essential component of the rewrites that happened in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. We wanted to make sure that we intertwined the skills throughout the content. And so it was seen as an integral part of the course, not as an additional component. And each skill provides, each level, to include Global Humanities, provides opportunities for students to practice the skills prior to the culminating assessment, whatever that should be. Additionally, an additional goal was relevance. We wanted students to see connections between what they're studying from the past to today. And so there's opportunity to make connections between relevant content, materials, and topics of today as you go through the content. And last but not least, the point of the World Study 7 Global Humanities course is to help prepare students for the state assessment that happens in 8th grade. Just for clarification purposes, that assessment will cover the skills. It will not cover the content of 6th and 7th grade. And so when you're thinking to yourself, how can I support students that will essentially end up in 8th grade and have to take this MSDE exam, you want to be focusing on the skills, which spiral in complexity. So what they start in 6th grade gets another layer added to it throughout 7th, throughout 8th, and then as they pursue their high school courses, 9th, 10th, and 11th, those same skills continue throughout. But again, the level of complexity and what is asked of them changes through each course. And we'll have an opportunity to go through that as we look and dive a little bit deeper into the framework and to the skills as well. All right, so let's talk framework. What is it and how do you use it? So regardless of if you are a Global Humanities teacher or a World Study 7 teacher, you are starting at the same place. The framework is a digital living document that we store on their MCPS website, and it's aligned to MSDE standard, and it covers the skills and content you need to be able to implement in the course. We like to tell teachers that the lesson objectives, which I will open in just a moment, are the non-negotiables. These are aligned to standard, and so we ask that should you need to scaffold the objective in the content, should you need to add to it to allow for a deeper dive, should you need to spend an extra 2 days past what was identified as the time in which you would need to complete some of the objectives that are written into the curriculum, that's fine. You have that autonomy. What is a non-negotiable is not teaching them. You must teach those objectives that are set forth, the resources, the time frame, the materials that exist are suggestions for you. If your students need more time, give them more time. If you decide that this objective you need to spend and dig a little bit deeper in because the kids are just so interested in it, no problem. Please do that with the mind, being mindful of the fact that you do have other objectives that you need to get through. So if you're a Global Humanities 7 teacher, you are still starting at this point. So let's scroll down to Unit 1. And in looking at Unit 1, all are set up the same way, 2, 3, and 4. It's 1 unit, 1 quarter. You'll start with looking at, so what's the question of the unit? What are their enduring understandings, and essential questions? We also have a middle years program connection, which will allow for you, once you click on there, if you are an MYP school, to get some of the components you might need, such as the key concepts and statement of inquiries and other kind of jumping off points for you in your planning with your colleagues. The reading and writing skills that are the focus, and then moving down to the actual lesson objectives. I'm scrolling, but we'll scroll back up to the top. You'll see that mainly each unit probably has what are called lesson sequences, 3 to 4. Sometimes there may be 5, but on average, there's 3 to 4 lesson sequences with 3 to 4 lesson objectives that correspond with it. Again, if you're a Global Humanities 7 teacher, you are looking at this framework. This is your foundation. You are not deviating from it. What you are going to do is at the top of each unit, once you get to the lesson objectives, if you're a Global Humanities teacher, you will see a statement that says, if you are teaching Global Humanities, click here for your curriculum crosswalk. And what has been created for you to help kind of you structure and figure out, what is it that I'm teaching? How long do I need to teach it for? What objective am I replacing? What am I doing? I created this for you with the hopes that this will help you figure out what is it you have to do. And so in the first column, you will see that all of the objectives and resources for World Study 7 have been listed for you. And it also tells you when they're supposed to be used. And then it also asks the question in the third column, do I use this resource, or our shorthand for Common Instructional Task, which is a CIT, in Global Humanities 7? And then it will tell you a yes or no. If it says yes, then you're going to click on there and you'll utilize the resource that is there. If it says no, for example, Common Instructional Task, Effects of Geography. And this happens in lesson sequence 7.1.1.2 and 7.1.1.3. Sorry, that's just how we kind of organize all of our objectives. 6th grade does the same, 8th grade does the same, 9th, 10th, 11th. I tell you that no, you're not actually going to do this resource. Instead, you are going to use this resource. And it links you to resources and materials and lessons that were created by a group of teachers that align with more of the Global Humanities focus, which is providing students an opportunity to have more rigorous instruction that aligns to their academic level. Remember, the students that are in Global Humanities courses have been identified by the county as students that are exceeding course or grade level indicators in reading, in math, and in writing. And because the county does not have enough seats at Eastern Middle School, Tacoma Park Middle School, Parkland Middle School, where students apply to be in those programs, they have created a cohort within a cohort at grade level at each middle school to allow students to still have access to that engaging, rigorous instruction, but at their home school. And so these are what these Global Humanities courses and lessons provide for students. So once again, each unit of instruction, 1 unit per quarter, so quarter 1 is unit 1. Sorry, let me get that out of there. You'll go through, I'll identify for you what the resource is, where you would find it, and then if you are completing that resource or if you are not completing that intended resource, and what you have as an option, all the way to the end of the unit. Okay, let me click out of there for you. Same thing happens as you move into unit 2. Oh, sorry, let me slow down a little bit. If you are a World Study 7 teacher, or your World Study 7 teacher or counterpart says, oh, for 7.1.2.1, this is what I'm doing. You just want to double check that crosswalk chart that I was in that has the number sequencing listed for you, and you want to say, oh, am I doing that as well? Oh no, I'm not. And in planning, you can say, hey, yeah, I'm still doing that objective, but in fact, for global humanities, we have a separate lesson that we're going to complete instead. And that's okay. You can still plan together because you're talking about the same content. It's just the process and the end result is going to look different for you and your students. But there is a lot of crossover for you to help with your planning. Additionally, the way in which the structures are set up is it allows for teachers to scroll all the way to the bottom of that unit or lesson objectives that are listed and find those same resources for you. Same thing would happen when you go into Unit 2. If you're teaching global humanities, you're going to click here for your curriculum crosswalk. I'm going to open that up for you. And there you go. The lessons are linked. And you'll notice in Unit 2, there's a mix. And there's at times choice too. I'll ask you to do both. For example, the Common Instructional Task, the DBQ, the Impact of the Black Death, you're going to complete that and you're going to do the Watt-Tyler Peasant Revolt after the Black Death lesson. It's pretty heavy in terms of writing and reading, but again, at the top of your crosswalks that you have for Global Humanities and World Study 7, it lists at the top of each unit what are the non-negotiables for that unit that you need to get through. So for example, in Unit 2, you'll talk about or you'll start introducing the National History Day program with your students. If you are coming to the live session that we are holding, if you're watching this and you're in an asynchronous instruction and you're watching this before July 27th, for some reason you didn't get an email from me, please know that on July 27th at 9 a.m., I'm going to hold a live synchronous opportunity for you to ask follow-up questions and for me to dive a little bit deeper into the National History Day expectations and processes. And there also will be a Global Humanities 7 teacher that can answer additional questions, somebody who's actually taught and implemented this, that you can get some further clarification from. So if you're watching this before July 27th, please know that you can reach out to me, Kelly Champagne, at Outlook, and you can get the link so you can attend the live instruction. And so we can get, so you have an opportunity to ask additional clarifying questions of me and your colleagues who have taught this before. So I'm going to leave the framework right now. And I'm going to go back to our kind of our page here. And I want to recap some things once again. The framework is where all teachers, regardless if you teach Global Humanities 7 or World Study 7, that is your starting point. My Global Humanities colleagues, there is a crosswalk sheet for you for each unit that tells you what are the non-negotiables, that make sure you're aligned to standards, that allows for you to see what from the World Study 7 curriculum am I teaching and what from the World Study 7 curriculum is being replaced with Global Humanities materials. The skills are infused. The resources associated with both Global Humanities and World 7 studies are optional. If you and your colleague have a different way of implementing or different resources that are needed for your students, by all means, you have that autonomy because you are the expert in the room, you are the teacher, so please utilize your expertise and your resources should the ones that exist not meet your needs. That is okay. Let me move on to the next. So what you're going to have in this asynchronous opportunity built in is you have an opportunity to kind of just review some slides. I'm going to direct you to the corresponding slides, specifically 7 through 13. And it just gives you more information, a little bit more meat and potatoes of the framework and Global Humanities 7. So I'm going to allow you time to explore that. And then there will be also questions for you to answer in the end, just to kind of check yourself of, hey, do I really understand kind of the basis of how I'm implementing the Global Humanities 7 curriculum. Additionally, there is a reflection question on the Jamboard. It looks like this, so let me pull it up for you to see. After you utilize, and you'll notice that my World Study 7 colleagues as well, I've kept these questions and I've kept their answers for you as well because I want you to be able to see what, let me go to World Study 6. Let me make you a sticky note real quick. World Study 7, Global Humanities 7. What I want to make sure that you have the ability to do is reflecting on some key questions. What you're most excited about, what you're most confused about, and what you're nervous about. Most excited about, and I'll tell you why we're doing that in just a second. What are you most nervous about? And what? How do I hit that? What are you still confused about? And what this helps me to do is that this helps me to identify what's going on, kind of where you're at. So again, if you're watching this before July 27th, I use this information to help me gauge what it is I need to cover on the 27th. But also, I will put together kind of an FAQ based on what you have on here. If you tell me that you're still confused about specific things, I will clarify those and then I will send that information back out to you via email. So this will be read. There will be an opportunity for you to have follow-up from me. Even if you don't attend the live session or this is post live session, still, if you're watching this in August and you're going through this and this is in a Canvas module, I want you to know that I'm still checking this throughout the summer. And I will see the list of registered participants and I will shoot out the FAQ as it becomes available and also link it on the MCPS Social Studies website so we have kind of live access to it. But in this module, essentially you're going to get time to look through the framework, look through the slides that correspond, and then also respond to the Jamboard questions, which again, I will also respond to as well.